Game week 1 is almost done. In this one, we'll have a look at my team, how I got on in game week 1, what my plans are for game week 2, and what my future plans are in general. So let's get into it. Okay, so all of my players have now played. I'm on 56 points. I haven't put my rank up there because it's pretty pointless at this stage. I think I'm somewhere around 3 million with 56 points. Now, in goal, I did go with Kelleher and Dubravka. That was obviously a risk, given that both of them had kind of injury scares. It just sounded to me like one of them would play. Dubravka was the one that was probably more likely to play before the game week started. But the thing is, I didn't really care which one of them played. As long as I had one playing goalkeeper, I wasn't bothered who. I mean, I could have gone for Verbruggen. I could have gone for a couple of other different 4.5 million options, but I just thought Kelleher was the best option. Maybe don't think that anymore, but pre-game week 1, I thought that Kelleher was going to be the best option long term. So as long as I had a playing goalkeeper, I was going to be happy. And I did have a playing goalkeeper. It would have been a little bit better if it was Dubravka, given he got 2 points and Kelleher got 1. But to be honest, if you've watched my videos before, you'll know that I don't really care about goalkeeper points. That sounds silly to say because they are obviously one of our 11, but I just think the goalkeeper points are so random, which is why I don't like spending money on the goalkeeper position. It's very hard to predict points. Obviously, you can pick a Raya who's going to get a lot of clean sheets, but I'd rather spend my funds in places that I can predict a little bit more. I mean, you just look today, Nottingham Forest played fantastically defensively. They give away one penalty and then the clean sheet's gone. It's almost completely, it's not completely random, but one random event can completely lose your clean sheet. So I don't really care about goalkeeper points. I'll randomly get a haul. I know that will happen. And you can't really predict that because sometimes that will come against one of the bigger teams. Like, for example, today's game as well, Chelsea. I'm almost certain that the Palace goalkeeper would have hauled. I haven't even looked at it. Don't know how many points they got, but I imagine they would have hauled. However, that would have been seen as a bad fixture beforehand. So you just can't really look into it too much. Something you can look into though is Spurs playing Burnley. That's why I doubled up on them. Game week 2 isn't good for Spurs, which is why I chose the bench defenders that I did. Richards and Esteve have both got okay fixtures in game week 2, as we'll come on to. But apart from game week 2, Spurs have got really, really nice fixtures. So I like starting with Porro. I like starting with Van der Ven. Obviously, they scored quite a few goals, so there was no bonus points. But I'm fine with that. They got a couple clean sheets. Spurs look like they are going to be much better defensively this season. It does look like Thomas Frank has got them set up pretty pragmatically at times. And we saw in an interview that Jed Spence did that he mentioned that their focus is really, really heavily on clean sheets, which I guess makes sense because going forward they weren't even that bad last year. So yeah, happy to have double up on the Spurs defence. Murillo only got 2 points. Obviously he didn't get a defensive contribution points. To be honest, I watched the game. Forest absolutely battered Brentford, like genuinely battered them. Partly because Brentford were terrible, but also partly because genuinely Nottingham Forest were just really, really good. However, obviously I did have Thiago playing against Murillo. Luckily, the player that made Murillo lose his clean sheet was Thiago, who we'll come on to. But yeah, wasn't too bothered about Murillo there, really. He's got good fixtures coming up, so I'm absolutely fine with him. Onto the midfield, then there were some really hit and miss situations here. I mean, Bruno Fernandes actually came really close to his defensive contribution threshold. This was a fixture I didn't expect much in anyway, so I'm not too annoyed by it. I'm quite happy to just keep him and hold him for quite a long time. He should be really good this season points-wise, so pretty fine with him. Cole Palmer, again, he looked like, I didn't watch the game because I was watching the Forest and Brentford game, but from the stats that I've looked at, I mean, a lot of people are saying that he had a poor game, but from the stats I've looked at, it looks like he was taking a lot of shots. It looks like he was getting in good positions. He had the most touches in the opposition box. He had a fair amount of shots as well. So again, Chelsea have got good fixtures. This isn't one where I'm looking to sell him at all. I'm fine with it. Salah didn't look like he had a great game at all. Again, I didn't watch the whole game. I only watched parts of it and I watched all the highlights. But it didn't look like Salah had a great game, to be honest. It looked like the likes of Ekatike and Gakpo played really well. Wirtz looked like he had spells where he was quite good, but again, he didn't look like he was maybe up to speed as such. But yeah, kind of got lucky with that Salah goal towards the end. Although we did see it last season where Salah just, because he's a 90-minute man, so many of his goals come in the last half an hour. You know you're going to get it from Salah. So yeah, like I say, Wirtz wasn't great, it didn't seem, but he did show a little bit of promise. He just needs to kind of get up to the speed of the Premier League. It looked like he thought he had too much time on the ball at times, but I'm kind of fine with it. Obviously, he probably is the one I'm least happy with in my team at the moment, but I'm not going to make any immediate moves anyway. So Reinders is one that I'm really glad I went with though. I was very close. It was almost 50-50 between him and Anderson at the deadline. I went with Reinders just because Nottingham Forest looked like they were going to buy so many players, and I didn't really want... I think with someone like Anderson who relies on defensive contribution points, he needs to play 90 and be completely nailed for that to be worth it. Reinders, however, looks... I mean, what a Premier League debut that was. His ball, or kind of his close control for, and then the ball for the first goal was unbelievable. His finish for the second goal was a joke, and then his cutback for the third goal was incredible. He had an unbelievable debut. I'm really happy I've got him in my team. But if you went with Anderson instead of Reinders, Anderson also had an unbelievable game. He was getting really far forward. Him and Gibbs White were just absolutely running the whole game. Between them, they absolutely balled out. So if you've got Anderson instead, you don't need to worry about that. You don't need to move him to Reinders. Reinders hasn't got good fixtures for the next 3 or 4 anyway. Anderson looked fantastic. Watkins didn't look fantastic though. And actually Villa in general didn't. Newcastle looked like they were by far the better team in that game. However, Watkins, I believe, we'll get onto it shortly, but plays Brentford in the next game, and Brentford looked terrible. So I think I'm quite happy and fine with Watkins. There isn't many other strikers to go to anyway. But yeah, Watkins wasn't great. And then Thiago, I mean, he and Brentford weren't great in this game at all. But this is why we pick penalty takers, because all it takes is one random penalty out of nowhere and you've got yourself 6 points and a goal. So yeah, happy with that. Richards obviously got a clean sheet on the bench. The bench didn't do a lot. Didn't expect it to. But yeah, let's get on to how I'm lined up for Game Week 2 and my thoughts on transfers. Okay, right, so moving on to how I'm lined up for Game Week 2 now. Obviously, the keepers are Kelleher and Dubravka, of course. Now, Kelleher's Aston Villa at home, not the best fixture, although Aston Villa weren't great. But obviously, Dubravka has Sunderland at home, so really nice fixture there. I'm just glad they're both actually fit and fine so that I do actually have a choice. I don't just have to play the one that's fit. So I'll be going with Dubravka in goal. These two could drop like stinkers for 5-6 weeks on end, and unless I'm wildcarding, these two will still be my goalkeepers. Like I mentioned before, I don't care about goalkeeper points, really. They are completely random. I mean, Dubravka could get a few save points and a clean sheet in a random game and he'll come out with 10 points and you won't know what game that's going to be. So if it's in a better fixture, you're less likely to get save points. If it's in a worse fixture, you're more likely to get save points but less likely to keep clean sheets. There's just swings and roundabouts to it all. So goalkeepers won't be changing. This is what I'll be going with. Defenders now. Richards, Murillo, Esteve. So as I mentioned, Porro and Van der Ven, this is their one bad fixture in like a 6 game week run. So, and this is where what I did pre-game week 1 was plan out my defenders for the first 6 game weeks. And the reason I did that is because the defence is not a position that I ideally want to be using transfers on early. So if something happens in a suspension, for example, some people have got Konza, that's kind of an unforeseen thing. You can't plan for that. But if an injury or a suspension happens, then obviously I'll have to use a transfer. But what I wanted to do was plan out my first 5 or 6 game weeks, look at the rotations, and just make sure that every week I've got 3 defenders that have good enough fixtures. Now, obviously, this is one where I knew that if I was picking 2 Spurs defenders, my other 3 defenders would need to play this week. So I've got Esteve with Sunderland at home. Obviously, that's one of the few fixtures that I will play him in. He will probably just sit on my bench most weeks, but I'm kind of fine playing him in this one. Murillo and Richards play each other, which isn't ideal, don't get me wrong, but the Palace defence is looking okay at the moment. Chris Richards is really good for defensive contribution points, which I'm happy with. Murillo, again, the Forest defence looked really good today, so I'm not even sure what I'm hoping for in that game. Clearly I'm hoping for a 0-0 because I actually don't have any of their attackers either, and some people will. People will have Mateta, people will have Chris Wood, people will have Anderson. So I guess I'm hoping for a 0-0, which is never a good place to be. But if one of them keeps a clean sheet and the other one doesn't, then that's kind of fine. So that's my defence. I can't see it changing, to be honest. I don't really need to make any transfers in this position. So onto the midfield now. Now this is where there's some contentious ones. I mean, Bruno Fernandes has Newcastle away. Bruno Fernandes is not going anywhere in my team. More than happy to keep him and play him. Cole Palmer is one, that didn't look great, or supposedly didn't look great. I think his numbers were okay, like I mentioned, but yeah. Cole Palmer, West Ham away. For me, he's more of a captain option than a sell here. West Ham, I'm a West Ham fan, unfortunately, and we didn't look great against Sunderland. In the first half, we were quite good. Second half, we were so off it, and Sunderland were just better, which is a bad place to be. So I don't hate Palmer captain, and actually it's probably 50-50 at the moment between Salah and Palmer. So yeah, he may be my captain. Salah didn't look great, like I mentioned, but Newcastle away isn't a bad fixture by any means. Although they did look quite good against Villa, I still don't mind it. I'm fine with it. Reinders, he's obviously going nowhere. He was absolutely incredible. And Tottenham, although their defence has improved, City were really good going forward. It was against Wolves, so I'm not sure how many conclusions we can draw from it. But they did look really good, and Reinders was at the heart of everything good that happened. So I'll be fine with him. Wirtz, like I mentioned, wasn't the best the other day. He showed glimpses, but he wasn't that great. However, he's not going anywhere yet, to be honest. The only player that I like, that I'd maybe even move him to, is a different Liverpool mid, so Gakpo, potentially. I did like him. The other one I'd maybe even go to is Anderson. I thought Anderson has been kind of the pick of the midfielders, maybe Semenyo actually. Semenyo was one who was going under the radar because he had Liverpool in game week 1. His fixtures from now are really good. But I highly doubt I'll be moving Wirtz out anyway. It would be Anderson or Semenyo, but Wirtz, I'll give him at least a few weeks for sure. I'm in no rush to move him out, basically. So that will be my midfield 5. And then the forward line is the same as it was. Obviously, Mark Gui has... I'm going to need to learn how to pronounce his name if I'm going to be saying it in these videos every week, but he'll be on the bench. It doesn't look great for him, really, at Sunderland. I mean, Mayenda started, Mayenda scored. And then Isidore, or however you say his name, Isidore, he came on as the second choice striker, I guess, and then he scored. I mean, the goalkeeping was horrific, but he still scored. So it looks like there's a world where he's potentially third choice, meaning that, well, he definitely won't start against Burnley. I think we need a few kind of stinkers from both of these strikers, as in Isidore and Mayenda, for him to get starts. But regardless, he'll just be last, or he'll be on my bench most weeks, so I probably won't need to worry about him at all. Watkins and Thiago play each other. Again, not ideal, but it's better when it's attackers, because then you can just hope for a goal fest. And wouldn't surprise me if that happened in this game. Both teams weren't great defensively, I didn't think. Obviously, Aston Villa are going to be without Konza. He got a red card, and he won't be playing in this Game Week 2 fixture. Brentford will need to improve, though. I really don't think they were great. Kevin Schade, when he came on, did improve things because Fabio Carvalho and Lewis Potter didn't do much to get excited about. Thiago wasn't particularly bad. I mean, he had one chance that was blocked. He didn't necessarily take it badly and then took the penalty really well, but he just didn't get any service at all. So I'm not sure we can draw much from that. Watkins, again, because Brentford defensively were so bad against Forest, I'm absolutely fine with keeping and playing him. If Gyökeres had an unbelievable game, then there'd be temptation to go there. But Gyökeres obviously came off in the 60th minute. Don't think he even had a shot. he wasn't really involved much at all. If he was, then it would have been interesting because obviously Arsenal play Leeds at home. But going forward, Arsenal didn't look all that, so I'm not that fussed about going without Arsenal. The one player who could be moved to obviously is Ekitike, but I think I'm fine with just Salah and Wirtz. I don't need to really jump on Liverpool, although Ekitike looked really good. I'm fine with Watkins against Brentford away. Now, like I say, my captain will probably be Salah or Palmer. In fact, it will definitely be Salah or Palmer. I'm leaning towards Salah just at the moment, but there is a world where I do go for Palmer. That's all for this one anyway. If you've got any questions on your team, do drop them in the comments. If you've got any questions on my team, drop them in the comments. Do hit like, do subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.